out there. Name's Terry Demibo. I'm a member of the GTM staff at arcade.dev, and today I want to try something that I've been meaning to do and finally got a great reason to do it, which is I want to do a stream where I read for 30 minutes and then I build for 30 minutes. And what I'm going to be reading today is Principles to Building AI Agents, the second edition by Sam Bhagwat. I also have the patterns for building AI agents, but we're going to start with this Principles for Building AI Agents. So I'm going to start reading it. I actually have the digital copy on my computer, and then I'm going to take some notes as well. And let's get right into the reading. So here is the cover of the book, Principles of Building AI Agents, and actually online we get the third edition, so that's pretty cool. And let me go ahead and get full screen here. I've got my Obsidian notes ready as well, and if those are needed, I'll pull them up. But for now, I think we can just do some reading. So, Principles of Building AI Agents. Let's take a look at the table of contents first. Got a foreword, intro, history of LLMs, choosing a provider and model, definitely a hot topic, writing great prompts, building an agent, so agents, model routing, tool calling, agent memory, dynamic agents, middleware. Then we have a whole section on tools in MCP, so MCP, third-party tools, graph-based workflows, RAG, I'm probably going to have fun in the RAG section, multi-agent systems, excuse me, observability and evals, and development and deployment. We've got coding agents, and then I like part 10, everything else. So we'll see what happens there. So let's dive in, y'all. All right. 3 editions of one book in 1 year. One thing that they've learned at Mastra is that time moves faster in the AI world. I'm already loving the intro. I guess they've done 3 releases in 1 year, but that's how fast things are moving. So fun note, and I think I will bring up my Obsidian. Is there a way for me to maybe view? Can we fill? Okay. I think they should be good. And then let's make it a little bigger just for the screens. And then let me pull out my Obsidian. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. So notes while reading. Already 3 versions of the book in 1 year. Things are moving fast. Okay, so the new edition has material on coding agents, new additions on coding agents, and then multimodal examples. And then that companion book, Patterns for Building AI Agents, which I have here, and we'll do that after Principles, talking more about patterns of putting your agents in prod, followed by agents and prod and patterns. Okay, and I should probably start sim linking. I'm also kind of new to Obsidian, so learning how to use that as well. Okay, thank yous and dedications. Oh, this is cool. Oh, what's going on with my scroll? Thank yous and dedications. I love that. That's super cool. Looks like my scroll is... Oh, it's because I'm on this single page setting. Okay, cool. Never actually used this. All right, so dedicated to children. That's really cool to see. And then I'm going to actually change the single page view. It should be continuous scroll. Yeah. And then just blow me up, please. Cool. Second edition, more notes. 2025 is the year of agents. Yeah, I saw almost 200,000 people have used this, so really cool. All right, intro. Structured the book into a few different sections. There's prompting a large language model, simple thing to do for concepts. So prompts, building, graph, workflows, RAG, and then multi-agent systems. Ugh. I feel like I should be using bullets here, but it's okay. Multi-agent systems. And of course, my good old friend RAG. And then we've got evals, local versus deployed, and agents building agents. Local versus deployed is so funny. I had this event yesterday at Workato HQ. Shout out Workato for having me. It was Enterprise MCP, and I had worked on this demo. It was flawless. When I got to Workato, their Wi-Fi setup was different. They basically have like a hotspot Wi-Fi setup. So I had to deploy the demo in a different way because my tunnel wasn't working. So really small example, but a great example of, yeah, the agent might work on your machine. You have all the tests, but have you thought about the network issues, right? Those are the kind of things that come up in production. And then agent building agents. That sounds like kind of software factory stuff. So what's not covered? So I think this is actually important to touch on. Not covered. Not covered is ML, RL, model training, and fine tuning. So this is today, most applications only need to use LLMs rather than build them. I like that. Use LLMs. Don't build. Cool. So part one is prompting, baby. Okay, this is this is gonna be interesting. Okay. So let's talk about prompts. And I think I need to get Agno's vault so I can just use his style. Prompting a large language model. For over 40 years, AI was a perennial on the horizon technology. There's been some notable advances along the way, like chess engines, speech recognition, self-driving cars. But the true pointing point for progress on generative AI was in 2017 when I'm getting like goosebumps reading this intro, when 8 researchers from Google wrote a paper called Attention is All You Need. It described an architecture for generating text where a large language model could be given a set of tokens and focused on predicting the next token. Then a great leap forward happened in November 2022. A chat interface called ChatGPT, produced by a well-funded startup called OpenAI, went viral literally overnight by making Gen AI accessible to everyone. Today, LLMs are proliferating at an unbelievable rate. Major providers, which provide both consumer chat interfaces and developer APIs, include OpenAI, Anthropic, Google or Gemini, Meta or Llama, and now Muse and Glimmer. And then others, which Mistral, DeepSeek, Qwen. We also now have the Grok models that are coming out pretty strong. Microsoft is doing stuff. So we've got a lot of different models, which brings us to choosing a provider and a model. And before I move on, just want to see what was the point of this. And I think the point of it is really, hey, giving you a little bit of background. Attention is all you need is where this all started. And there's a variety of options. So I can say setting the genesis with attention is all you need, and setting the scale of options. Okay. So one of the first choices you'll need to make building an AI application is which model to build on. What are some things you need to think about? Do you want to use a hosted model or do you want to use an open source model? First piece of advice we usually give people when building AI apps is to start with a hosted provider. For text modality, that could be text, it could be code, it could be structured output, tool calls, but obviously nothing multimodal. State of the art hosted model providers in March 2026 are OpenAI, Anthropic, or Google Gemini. We recommend you start there. I personally would also throw Grok 4.6 in there as well. Perhaps you eventually move some of your workload to open source, so that might be Qwen, Kimi, DeepSeek, Minimax. But make it work, make it right, make it fast and cheap in that order. Don't make yourself debug in for issues right off the bat. And I think that's a really good note. So make it work, make it right, make it fast/cheap. I think often it can be tempting to reverse this order and say, oh, let's make it fast and cheap, then we'll make it right, then we'll make it work. But I 100% agree with Sam here that just make it work first. It doesn't matter really what model it's using or if it's inefficient. Then make it work right. Then you can think about all the optimizations, right? Don't get stuck optimizing. This sentence is really solid. Don't make yourself debug in for issues right off the bat. To give yourself more flexibility, recommend using a model routing library. So that's going to be something like Open Router or Fireworks AI, etc. Base 10. So model size, accuracy versus cost/latency. Every provider has a larger, medium, and small models. So larger a model is, the more mathematical operations it has to perform to generate your answer. That makes it higher quality, but also more expensive and slower. And going back to those first three rules, just make it work, make it right, then make it fast and cheap. So the basic premise here is just start with the frontier model and then from there see, hey, if I started on Opus or Fable, does it work on Opus? Okay, it works on Opus. Does it work on Sonnet? It works on Sonnet. Does it work on Haiku? No, it doesn't. Okay, we need to use Sonnet. Context window size. One variable you may want to think about is the context window of your model. How many tokens can it take? So as of March 2026, the largest context window offered by Google, Gemini 3.1 is 1 million token context window. Anthropic offers the same. And I think most models have kind of landed around that million context window. And this is really powerful because now you can literally dump a 800,000 token code base into the context window, which if you remember when we were first using these LLMs, so I'm talking like ChatGPT 2, like even one function, if it was too long, it would get tripped off on and you would have to break that function down. So the fact that you can now just drop entire repos in is pretty crazy. And then there's another type of model, which is called a reasoning model. So this is a newer development, but the idea is basically, hey, you can actually think while you're creating your answer. So if you're using any of these models that are listed here, right, the state-of-the-art ones, the numbers might be wrong because now we're on GPT 5.6 and Claude's on 5, but these are all the options that you have for your cheap and fast model and your reasoning model, right? And you want to find that sweet spot. So it's really find the sweet spot. And I'm sure later on in evals, they'll talk about how to find that sweet spot. But for now, we just know that start with the best models and then work your way down from there. Okay. Writing great prompts. One foundational skill in AI engineering is writing good prompts. LLMs will follow instructions if you know how to specify them well. Here's a few tips and techniques that will help. Use the system prompt. When accessing models via API, they usually have the ability to set a system prompt. So for example, give the model characteristics that you want it to have. This will be in addition to the specific user prompt that gets passed in. A fun example is to ask the model to answer the same question as different personas. So answer as Steve Jobs or Bill Gates or Harry Potter versus Draco Malfoy. And pass the tone, you can also use the system prompt to improve accuracy. So if you give the model, for example, a clear role, specific constraints, or explicit instructions, this can help. And also, one thing that I know from my experience is that, these system prompts, or if you want to call them the harness, is often what's going to allow you to use some of these smaller models that wouldn't be able to do the tasks on their raw intelligence, but with the right prompt, you can kind of coax them into the right direction. So give the LLM more examples, right? LLMs do love them some data, especially when we've got a diversity of data to cover all of our use cases. So there's 3 basic techniques to prompting. We've got the zero shot YOLO approach, just ask a question. We've got the single shot, which is ask a question, then provide an example. And then we've got the few shot, so we can give multiple examples for more precise control over the output. So this might be like, imagine if you were grading an English paper and you gave it 100 different papers and you said, here's a 0, here's 100, here's everything in between, as opposed to just giving it one paper and saying, hey, here's a B paper, what would you grade this paper? And then the zero shot is just giving it the paper and saying, grade this paper. One consideration is prompt caching. I said catching. Prompt caching, a feature introduced across most providers in 2025. Putting examples in a cached system prompt rather than the user turn is now standard practice for both cost and latency reasons. So what does this mean? I don't even know if I want to get into caching right now, but I would say the big thing to keep in mind is just take advantage of prompt caching and these other techniques that the models offer, because it's going to be cheaper to do the same exact thing, right? There's multiple ways to skin a cat, and some ways are more expensive than others. So if all you care about is getting the skin off the cat, then explore the different options you have. There's also the seed crystal approach. So if you're not sure where to start, literally just ask the model to generate a prompt for you, and then you can kind of do trial and error based on that prompt, right? Weird formatting tricks. It's computer science, so there's always going to be some weird formatting tricks. You have to get to know your models and the ones that you use, or your harnesses, etc. And then you also have to keep in mind what the new updates are that are coming out. So I know, for example, with the latest model from Anthropic, and I believe as well OpenAI, they've told you don't say things like be brief, or don't say things like be thorough. That's already baked into the system, and if you're telling it that in the prompt, then it's not going to help. So some of these tricks, which might work today or might work on a certain model, won't work tomorrow or won't work on a different model, right? And yeah, that's what they're talking about here. Different models are going to respond differently. So if you think your prompts are detailed, go through and read some production prompts. Here's about 1/3 of a live production code generation prompt using a tool called Bolt.no. Okay. You are Bolt, and well, I'm not going to read this entire prompt, but I think this might be what I end up building, is just kind of, I won't create Bolt, but maybe I'll create Lightning and just see like how much does something like FizzBuzz change? Or if I tell it to build Battleship, how much does it change depending on something like this? Or is it really only noticeable when we're asking for more complex work? That's one idea I'm having. Okay, what's happening to my scroll? Or are these pages actually just empty? Yes, they are. Okay. So now we've got part 2, building an agent. Agents 101. You can use direct model calls for one-shot transformations. So given a video transcript, write a draft description. But for ongoing complex interactions with models, you typically need to build an agent on top. So that might be, tell me what I should record my video transcript on based on what people are interested in right now and what's going on in the news. Think of agents as AI employees rather than contractors. They maintain context, they have specific roles, and they can use tools to accomplish tasks. Levels of autonomy. So in September 2025, Simon Willison distilled a fundamental definition of agents that we think is pretty solid. An agent calls tools in a loop to achieve a goal. Yeah, I think that's a pretty solid. I might throw in something about deterministic or non-deterministic, but in general, I think that's a pretty solid definition. Agency is a spectrum, just like self-driving cars or like people, like height, right? What does it mean to be tall? Well, it depends on the situation. So at a low level, agents make binary choices in a decision tree. And then at a high level, they can do planning, divide tasks, and really just work in a very similar way as a human would. So now let's get into the Mastra stuff. So in Mastra, agents have persistent memory, consistent model configurations, and access a suite of tools and workflow. The persistent memory is interesting. I actually didn't know that about Mastra, so now I'm kind of intrigued. Mastra memory. Okay, I have to dig into that a little more. So how to create a basic agent, import memory, import agent, boom, boom, boom. Running this code creates a configured AI agent that can accept user input in conversations, respond according to the helpful assistant, use GPT, and integrate into larger applications. But do note that agents will be eating up those tokens. So when you don't need an agent, don't use one, right? I think that's a good thing to take a note on. Agents are token expensive, or maybe token hungry. When you don't need an agent, use a deterministic workflow. Right? If you know what's going to happen, and so if we go back to like what makes the agent low level, high level, if the agent doesn't have to do planning, it doesn't have to decide tasks and a subtask, it doesn't have to manage a task queue, it doesn't have to do all of this stuff, then maybe you can just write a script and it doesn't need to be an agent, right? And maybe the agent lives at a different level, which is deciding, hey, what script should I run right now given the data that I have? Or maybe there's no agent and you can even do that part deterministically, right? So don't be afraid to use techniques that get you the same results and save you a bunch of tokens, right? You're not getting any bonus points just for running an agent. Okay, so it's worth noting that, I just read that. And because of this token accumulation, context management and cost are things that you need to figure out. So going back to the 3 steps, make it work, make it right, make it fast and cheap, that would be step 2 and step 3, right? The context management is probably making it right and then making it fast and cheap. You can do a bunch of stuff from semantic cache to, model routing, all that stuff. Oh, and boom, we're into model routing. So it's useful to be able to quickly test and experiment with different models. Various libraries provide abstraction known as model routing. Let's pull up that example again from the last chapter, which used Mastra's built-in model routing. So let me see, how is it doing the model? Okay, you just literally can raw put in your text. And then just one line to swap it. Structured output. So often you're gonna want the large language model to give you the output in a certain way. You don't want it to just give you text because maybe you have a website and that website has certain data schemas or data structures that you need the LLM output to fit into. Maybe you're updating like a weather site. It can't just tell you that the weather is 70 degrees in New York. It has to actually have a, timestamp, location, etc., how it's going to update it. So with structured output, we can basically tell the model, hey, instead of responding in natural language, actually use this structured output. Tool calling, baby. Okay, so I think this will be the last chapter that we read today. Tools are functions that agents can call to perform specific tasks, whether that's fetching weather data, querying a database, or processing calculations. The key to effective tool use is clear communication with the model about what each tool does and when to use it. So here's an example of creating and using a tool in Mastra. They've got tools, and this is a weather tool. So let's see what their best practices are. Provide detailed descriptions. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so I love all of this, and I would agree with all of the tool best practices, right? I think this part, oh man, this is so good. I think, yeah, we're 100% writing this down. So it is genuinely important that you write this list out clearly before you start coding. So Sam is basically telling you that before you start coding, you're going to want to make sure that you've fully fleshed out exactly what the tool is going to do. Why do you need to do this? Well, If you don't do this, what is going to end up happening with your tool is you're probably just going to tell your preferred AI model to fork your CLI or whatever and turn it into an MCP. Well, humans don't type and interact with LLMs the same way that we do with APIs. So all of a sudden, you're going to find a bunch of holes and weird behavior inside of your tool. So I agree 100% with Sam here that the very first step before you even start building the tool is just specking out what you want the tool to do. So he even mentions, even if it's just jotted down on a napkin from lunch, I would disagree with this. I think that this part of the process is probably the most important, especially with the models now. Like, clear writing is a symptom of clear thought. And if you're not thinking clearly about what you want the tool to do, that's where I think things get a little weird, because you stop being granular about the tool permissions, right? You stop thinking about what are the universal cases and then what are the edge cases. And then you also stop thinking about people are using this using natural language, right? So if I say, send an email, I'm not hitting the Gmail API, right? The MCP has to figure out who am I sending the email to, all of that good stuff, right? And then he mentions a real world example of Alana Goyal, who's a master investor. And let's see, what does she want? She wanted to give intelligent recommendations about her library of investor books. Okay. So her first attempt was dropping all the books into the agent's knowledge window. Yeah, I can imagine why that didn't work great. Then she broke the problem down into a set of specific tools. Okay, so she basically turned her library into a tool for accessing the corpus of investors, a tool for book recommendations, and a tool for books tagged by genre. Then more tools to do even more stuff. So if a human analyst were following this project, they'd have a specific set of operations or queries. And the trick is to take those operations and write them as tools or queries that your agent can use. And what's the result? With the tools in place, the agent can now actually analyze the corpus of books, right? You've kind of given them a map to the library. You've given them that Dewey Decimal System so that they don't have to look at every single book to try to find that one book about, the moon landing. So the takeaway here is think like an analyst, break your problem into clear, reusable operations, and write each as a tool. This is, once again, stuff I really love. So think like an analyst, break problem into clear, reusable ops, and write each op as a tool. And if you do this, your agent is going to be cracked. Okay, so I'm not going to go into agent memory. I'll spend about 30 minutes reading. So just quickly want to kind of recap what we read, which was just the intro to everything, a history of LLMs, Agent 101, so how agents actually work, and then a little stuff about tools. So now I want to do a little building. So let me go ahead and open up my iTerm. I'm going to mkdir. What should we call this? I'll call this Arcade Mastra read build. Okay, CD Arcade Mastra read build, and then let's get our good friend Claude cooking. I'm actually first going to look at the Mastra docs. So give me 1 second here so I can pull up Mastra docs. Okay. Oh, sorry. All right. So Mastra. Oh, I got one message. Let me see. Hide. Sorry. I have not been looking at the chat. My bad. Hey, shout out to the view count. Okay. So, Mastra is a TypeScript framework for building AI agents and applications. Create your first agent with a single line and start building. Oh, beautiful. They've got a copy prompt. Big fan of docs like this, where I was coming here literally for this and to understand a little bit more about how Mastra works, and they just give me this prompt I can copy. So while I have Claude running, I can be looking at the Mastra docs, and we can check this out. So whoop, let's do that, and then let's mess around with the screen. All right, so yeah, why is auto mode not working? I guess this is a new Claude feature. Yeah, you can scan whatever. Actually, don't scan my other repos. Okay. So it's gathering data and setting up auto mode. I think I have to resend this query. Yeah, cool. And then I have to review my auto mode setup. That's fine. I'm on a throwaway machine, so we'll be good. And then project name. I'm going to call this Arcade. What do I want to build, actually? Let me think about this, because we just talked about how you want to think about this like an analyst. So let me open up my Google Docs, and let's think about what we want our tool today to do. I had this idea, which is, I was wondering, what if you could make a skill that follows the developer advocates, the public-facing people from a company, and then use their post on social media to inform how your agent uses their software. So that's one idea I have, is like skills based on what devs are posting on socials about their product. I've got this save point skill, which basically helps you actually know what's going on inside a code base. Let me think of another skill that I might be interested in. There's a YouTube video skill. I like visually learning or learning from videos or watching people do stuff, but unfortunately, just manually searching is not often the best way to find like good content. The best way to find good content is really you actually just find someone who you trust and then you consume their content. But beyond that, there's definitely some tells, and I suspect that if I had an agent that could go and look at things like thumbnails and the transcript and the view count and the comments, would get pretty good at finding quality lectures that I want to watch and filtering out the slop. So quality versus slop on video. I think another tool that I would be very interested in is something that can look at like Hacker News, and give me like what I should try today. Okay, so all of these are kind of like skills, not necessarily just a tool. So maybe we can think about, oh, let me see what my Claude is doing. 1 second. This was not it, sorry. Project name. Oh yeah, we went here because I was getting at my project name. Okay, so let's try to build the, I think I might try save point with Mastra. So save point, let me pull this up. Yeah. Oh, I'm on the wrong GitHub account. But actually it's public, so I will be good. Oh, whoops. Repos, and then let's just go to this pull this engine, because why not? Amoeba. Okay, so save point is basically the idea is here. after you make a PR or in a repo in general, or not even in a repo, you can run SavePoint. It's going to ask you questions about the PR, the repo. You can change the persona. So maybe you want to be asked questions like it's your boss. Maybe you want to be asked questions like it's a security engineer who wants to tear your product apart. Maybe you want to be asked questions like it's a 5-year-old who doesn't understand code. You can do all that. And then the cool thing about SavePoint is when you run it in one repo, it follows you around. So if I run it in the Acme repo while I'm working in the FooBar repo, it'll come back and say, hey, here's a question about the Acme repo. So I get that spaced repetition and can really nail in the knowledge, and also forces me to actually understand what's going on in the code as opposed to just feeling like I can talk about it, right? So what I'm thinking is maybe I can add Mastra to SavePoint, and then with that combination, we could do something cool. So the very first thing I'm thinking about is just copy and pasting that prompt that I was given. Oh, sorry. That is not my coding. Okay, so let's call this one SavePoint. And I'm basically going to try to see like how can I build an agent with Mastra and Arcade? And the idea is Arcade is going to allow me to connect my GitHub, and then Mastra is going to be the agent harness around this agent. And what I want this agent to do is look at a GitHub repo and be able to ask me questions so that I can know whether I actually understand it, right? Name the Mastra. Oh, that's funny. It was confused. Like, was it asking me to name the project, or does it want does it want the checkpoint? Okay, so I'm gonna tell it I actually want to save that project, and then I'm also gonna go Claude Native here to just see what happens. Provider, yeah, we can do Anthropic. I wonder if Mastra supports Claude P. That's a good, by the way. I can only assume, but yeah, better safe than sorry. Two different things on what you mean. If you mean the cloud models, if you mean Cloud-P, that's a separate thing. Mastra doesn't use it. It's the API directly. The reverse direction does work, though. I can call a Mastra script from Cloud-P. Okay, it's good to know. So it looks like we're scaffolding our project, and I probably should have done this in Orca so that we can actually see the code, or in Cursor, because I am curious what this is going to look like. So when it's done scaffolding it, I'll have it open it up and check out what the file tree looks like. And then I'm going to just through natural language ask it to integrate Arcade and see A, where we get blocked, B, how far we can get with this. Got about 7 plus 15, that's 22 minutes. So hopefully I can get something working, and if not, we'll be back. So I'm planning on doing these every day, do a little reading, do a little building. Not sure what time yet. I was thinking something early in the morning, but could be, sporadic. I will try to find a more consistent time, but for now, just get the reps up. Okay, so create mass this 60-second install cap killed npm install. Okay, let's see. Looks like I kind of want to go verbose on them. /config. Wait. Isn't there like a? Did they take away the actual config? There we go. I'll put it in the background. Okay, what did I want? I want, well, I definitely want fast mode. And then can we get verbose output true? I think that's what I want. Let's go, explanatory. Okay, so, boom. Looks like I got my Mastra project. Open this up in an editor so I can see the files. It's funny how much the development process has changed. Like, I remember when to do this, what I would have been doing is probably going to like a Google Colab. If not a Google Colab, then like literally copy and pasting code from the docs. And now we can just copy and paste from Claude. And hopefully this will work. Okay, so boom. We do have a UI here. So it looks like we are cooking good looking. And it looks like we're opening the project up in Cursor, in Casa. It looks like it didn't open it up. Oh, no, it did open it up. It's just, this is a weird view. Okay. So let's see. What do we have here in, yeah, this is fine. So, gotta go to the README. Gotta start at the README, y'all. Always start at the README. Not supposed to work right after Labor Day. Can I collapse this? Is it, what is it, split down maybe? No, that's definitely not it. Okay, that's fine. So welcome to your new master project. We're excited to see what you can build. Project level workspace, approval. Okay, I set my Anthropic API key. Okay. Workplace safety. Okay. This all checks out. I think I'm just gonna briefly stop sharing my screen so that I can put in some credentials. Let's see. 1 second. So I need my Anthropic API key. Okay, get my key from Anthropic. Dun 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 dun. Okay, so I'm just setting up my credentials. While I'm setting up my credentials, curious what everyone thinks about this stream. Is it fun? Is it boring? Would you come back? Would you change anything? So what is this? This is my master key. Expire in 30 days. Go ahead and add that bad boy. Copy key. And then let me add it in the right spot. And then I'm back to my README. And then I'm sharing my screen. Okay, cool. So back in business. Okay, it's in test. And then the next thing I want to do is, of course, let's get connected to Arcade. So I believe I already have a gateway that we can use for testing that has access to GitHub. Let's see. Yep. Don't need to read my key. Okay, so I've got my gateways here. The girl from Ipanema. Da-dun, da-dun, da-dun. Maybe I'll pull up the save point repo to give it to Claude as context. And I think what I'll want is, can you, I should be using Whisperflow. 1 second. Connect my agent to arcade.dev. I want to build something like SafePoint, but using Mastra and Arcade. So basically what I'm hoping to do is create a SafePoint replica. Going back to SafePoint, the entire idea is basically that you can be in a repo, you run this SafePoint start. It could be on a diff, it could be on the entire repo, it could be on whatever, and you get to learn what's going on inside the code. It asks you questions, and then there's a spaced repetition element where it will follow up a day later, a week later, no matter what repo you're in, and ask you. Of course, it doesn't bother you while you're doing critical work. It'll wait until test pass or something like that, and you can snooze and dismiss it, right? So a cool little skill that I built for myself, and now I want to see, can I give it memory with Mastra, right? Because right now I'm using markdown files, basically going caveman status for tracking my data. I wanted to keep it simple, keep it clean, and keep it portable, but I do think that there's potentially a cool thing we can do with memory where your agent could know all of the answers that you've given to all of the questions across all of your repos and use that to inform your strengths, your weaknesses, where you need to get better, etc. So let's see. It looks like it's still testing. That's fine. I think we can go ahead and get this running. And then while that's running, I want to just go back to the Mastra docs. And let's see what they say about maybe I'll look at a template. Embed agents in your product. Internal data analysis. Oh, content automation. Interesting. I think this might be, I don't know what kind of, which one I would want to use. Let me see. Yep. So, okay, perfect. This makes me really happy. Claude knows. Okay, let's lock into Claude. Let's lock it into Claude because this is literally perfect. So, SafePoint is a merge, post-merge. I mean, it's not just post-merge, but okay, Claude, geez, just take my product down. Space repetition, currently local bash, markdown, and an MCP server. Rebuilding it on Mastra Arcade means the agent gets authentic access to GitHub instead of local Git only, which is exactly what I want, right? Because now, imagine I could turn this, I can turn, oh, sorry, I keep forgetting Whisperflow. It's weird while I'm streaming. I could turn this into a CI check where your PR doesn't pass unless you successfully complete your SafePoint check. Obviously, people could cheat, but it could be a Scouts honor system. Okay. Master dev hot reloads on .n saves by itself. The agent's observational memory makes memory.thread and memory.resource required. Okay. Yeah, let's just do it all, baby. Just completely ignore Sam's advice. Okay, so when I say that, I mean what Sam said is that we first need to create a document where we specify exactly what we want this thing to do. So now that we've gotten to this level, I think I am ready now to pull up this Google Doc. And I've decided that I want to do the save point idea. So, boom, and save point. I want to make this a CI check. So I can't merge to main unless I have completed the save point check. What is a save point check? Oh, and I keep forgetting. What is a save point check? A save point check is going to be a series of questions which defaults to, I believe, 3 or 5, but is tunable, that you have to answer on what just changed in the code base based on your PR. And there's different personas, so you can tune what level you want the persona to be. By default, it's just maintainer. But the idea is if, for example, a marketer was making a update to the website, then the review should probably come from the perspective of a client or a customer or a visitor to the site, something like that, right? So being able to map out those personas to the PR so that it's effective to whoever the person is. So what does that mean? That means I need an agent that can, or actually, you know, I'm wondering if I just go jobs to be done. Jobs to be done. As a developer, I want a way to confirm that I understand my code, even if it passes all tests. As a team lead, I want to ensure that my team isn't pushing code to prod that they don't understand. And then maybe there's like honestly, I think just these two is fine. As a developer, I want a way to confirm that I understand my code, even if it passes all tests. I don't even know if I need it is kind of important because it lets you know that this isn't simply helping you with your PRs, right? There's tools out there that'll help you with your PR. This isn't that. This is a tool where I'm taking the AI away and I'm asking you to answer what did the AI just do in your Claude Code session, right? And then I think there's also a team lead where it's like, hey, make sure that the team isn't pushing code to prod that they don't understand. So I think if we combine those two, it's really all we need to get started, right? There's no need to bog down too much in the details, especially in the interest of time. So I'm just going to take that and see what we can do. So for me, that means that we only need the interaction to be on GitHub. And let's just go from GitHub. Create a new gateway or keep the existing gateway? Yeah, let's create a new gateway. Okay. Mastra pretty fun so far. Obviously haven't actually started, and I need to read up on the memory thing because it did mention that I need to make the API calls for memory. So let me go ahead and check out Mastra memory now. So I am familiar with it. You know what? Oh, I'm in the thing. Okay. Huh. Okay. So looks like we've got multiple kinds of memory. Observational memory. Background agents just maintain a dense observation log. I wonder how this works. I'm sure they have more info. Working memory, semantic recall, and multi-user thread. So we're probably going to need a little bit of all of this. But here I'm curious, is there any sampling going on, or is it the raw logs? Yeah, boom. Interesting. Okay, I like it. That's fine. I'm also wondering where that's getting stored, but okay, so it is integrating Arcade and Mastra. I've been pleasantly surprised at how far Claude can take me here. I didn't even get a chance to finish the README because it was just doing its thing. Okay, so welcome to your new Mastra project, the starter. Boom, boom, boom. I set that key. And then I should be able to use the Mastra agent to do one of these queries. So let's actually test the agent because we haven't even tested it yet, just to make sure that everything is kosher and cozy. Kosher and cozy. Kosher and cozy. Okay, so Mastra Studio, and then I have this agent here, and I should be able to now. Oh, I completely forgot that this was recording. Get the weather forecast for Austin this weekend. Do a little web search. Oh. Okay. Well, clearly my tools are not tuned because. Oh, maybe. No. All right. Definitely had an issue in my setup. So, oh no, it's fine. Just that first call. Boom. Got the weather in Austin. But of course, if I say, what GitHub repos do I have? It should say, I don't know. What's GitHub? Or you're not connected. Not literally. What's GitHub? Yeah, you're not logged into a GitHub host, et cetera, et cetera. So the idea here is basically let's get this to a point where when I ask that question, it works. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to need my env key from Arcade. And then it's giving me some advice on the CI check. Okay, so first let me add some. Oh, we're actually at time. It's about to be 1:15. So this is a great place to stop. I've just added my Arcade gateway into Mastra, but I haven't actually run it yet. We're building SavePoint as a Mastra Arcade app, which is going to allow you to look at a GitHub repo and have to answer questions about what changed in your code base due to this new PR you have. And with Mastra, we can do fun stuff like turn that into a CI gate. So you can't actually get it into main unless you've done that. Okay, cool. So this was the first read and build. This was pretty fun. I'll definitely be doing it again. I think getting back into my streaming bones has definitely been fun. Been a while, but yeah, I will be back tomorrow doing the same thing for an hour, just doing a bit of building, doing a bit of reading. Probably start tomorrow just going with the agent until we get it to a place where it's working, and then go back to the reading. And of course, we'll be reading different stuff. So I'm going to finish with this Principles of Building AI Agents from Sam Bhagwat and Mastra. We're going to build something with Mastra and Arcade. And then we'll go on to the next adventure. So my name is Terry Amiibo, member GTM staff at arcade.dev. And thanks for joining me, y'all. Peace.